Alright, a bit of an early video this time around, talking about the characters that are probably going to be coming and returning in patch 5.7. Obviously, it's not confirmed, but we're going to be talking about Skirk, Mavuika, Emilie, and Shenhe. And why am I doing such an early video, you may ask? Well, it's because I'll be away whenever patch 5.7 live stream, so I won't be able to actually make the video on those kind of days, and it will be much later. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of a prediction and talking about these characters that we are speculating, and while obviously if the character lineup does changes, I'll make an update later on. Skirk is going to be finally coming, and I know that many of you are excited for her. So if you're planning to swipe for pooling, then don't forget to check out Loot Bar. If you know me, I've been recommending you guys Loot Bar before, since you can always save almost a 25% on all of your top-ups. With over 100,000 orders and so many good reviews at this point. And by the way, this also applies to PS5 and Xbox user who can place orders through Loot Bar. You can be sure that Loot Bar is trustworthy. Here you can see my order receipts of all of my top-ups that I have done. And for those who are going for the highest package when topping up, there's also a limited discount options available once every version. So guys, be sure to check out Loot Bar through the link in my description, as it can be a great way for you to save your money, especially if you are topping up a large amount. So first off, we have Skirk. Now obviously her information isn't confirmed at the moment we release this video, but I've already also made some of the other video regarding to Skirk, so technically you guys should already have an idea of what Skirk will be doing. Obviously from the look of it, Skirk is definitely going to be a rather simple character to play around with. And most of the time what you're just going to be doing is just enter into her E skill, use a special element to burst Havoc extinction, and then do basically a couple of normal attack and charge attack rotation so that you can also absorb her Void Rift, and then at the end you can use her Havoc Ruined element to burst to deal massive nuke damage. Overall her gameplay rotation is very simple to understand. Most of the things that actually triggers during her passive actually just automatically do it whenever you use Skirk during her rotations, and then the rest is just going to be having your Skirk in a proper freeze team of using cryo and hydro character obviously. So that is pretty much that, which is where the more important thing is regarding Skirk investment as a whole. Was I'm pretty much sure that Skirk is going to be having a really good scaling, where she is going to be one of the better top DPS character out there that we have, but it is also expected that she's not going to be topping the level of those like Mavuika and more or less on the same level of Novelet currently, if she is used in the correct team. Because while I'm pretty sure comparing to a lot of the other DPS characters that we've got, she's pretty much stuck in a freeze team. While you can use her on another team, especially if you want to use her on a Shilonen team for example, but that is the only second choices most of the time. So generally character like Escoffier, especially Shenhe, Furina, right, Yelan, maybe potentially Sitlali, those kind of characters are rather important to be used on a Skirk team, and the other element supportive character are just secondary choices if you do not have the proper team building for Skirk within the freeze team. So that's one thing. The other thing is regarding her weapons. Now I've been discussing a lot about her weapon tier list ranking. Now, at this point in time, her signature is still going to be outshining the majority of other weapons by quite a lot. The only very good 5-star options that she may potentially have access to is going to be the Mist Splitter. You do have a lot of the other 5-star options. Obviously it doesn't really come close that much to her own signature, because while obviously her signature is just made that good for Skirk in terms of both providing crit rate and crit damage, and then your free-to-play options are technically quite limited when it only comes down to the Finale of the Deep or the Issue Blade most of the time, though the Issue Blade is definitely going to be the superior choice if you are using her in a shielded team. So whenever you're considering pooling for Skirk, it's obviously not just going to be her, and you really have to think about the other investment you will have to put into Skirk as well, unlike many of the other characters who are a lot more free to play friendly. I'm pretty sure Skirk is going to be a lot more on the invested side as well. She does have the free to play freeze kind of team comp, but obviously the supportive options for free to play options on the freeze team isn't going to be as good when comparing to the other characters case, and in which case, well, Mavuika is most likely going to be back in the same patch as Skirk. Now, I'm pretty sure I don't really have to advertise Mavuika in any way, as I'm pretty sure most of us have already known how insane of a character she is, being still basically the best DPS character in the whole entire game, with the sheer amount of DPS she's able to pull off, especially when it comes to free-to-play options. She's able to do absolutely insane damage with you just using basic weapons and very much basic build on Mavuika. Mavuika is definitely going to be one of, if not the top choices for you to try and pull for her if you didn't have her during the last patch, of whichever it is that you guys decided to either pull for Sitlali then skip Mavuika for some reason. But if you are focusing on the meta either way, or if you're feeling that you are lacking in damage in terms of DPS, Mavuika is definitely going to be there to help you guys out, because one thing is that she is a pyro character that has access to very good team building, of having multiple different team comps, especially when pyro can actually be on an overloaded kind of Chevrolet's team, which means it is a very free-to-play friendly comps of running alongside your Bennett and Auron as well, and that's absolutely insane of the team already. Not a lot of investment while you're using a free-to-play craftable weapon such as the Tidal Shadows, and she's still going to be doing absolutely fantastic damage. Now, if you guys already pulled for her and is looking to invest more into Mavuika, things are very huge for her, because if, for example, if you do get her weapon, that's a very good increase into your Mavuika. Not to mention her constellation is still one of the best in the entire game, where C1 and C2 just increases her DPS power by a lot. So whatever it is, if you're looking to improve your account, vertically investing into a character, as I have discussed before, is obviously the way to go, and what better than putting all of your gems into a character that's already very good and making her just an insanely better character. Now obviously there are things to consider, because DPS character have always been tend to get power creep rather fast, as their situations are very much in competition with many other DPS, and of course later on future DPS character might be power creeping them. However, Genshin Impact characters tend to stick to the lore quite a bit, but Mavuika was the War Archon, which is why they have already made her to be this powerful, and I'm pretty sure Mavuika DPS level is going to be standing for quite some more time, especially when we are looking at Skirk, who may not actually over DPSing Mavuika, which is why I'm still valuing Mavuika quite a lot at the current point. Other than that, what makes Mavuika so special is she's not just technically a DPS character, but she can also provide you off-field support as well, where her E skill deals off-field pyro damage and as well as pyro applications, and more than that, her passive actually buff your on-field character, which is actually really nice, which is why in combinations of all the kit that Mavuika has got access to, I am still valuing Mavuika a lot at the current point. And up next, we have our lovely Shenhe, who is predicting to have a return, which is really nice, because wow, Shenhe last time around, we've been waiting for an absolutely long time before she came back on the Chronicle Wish banner. Now Shenhe being back does make sense, but Skirk is literally right there, and obviously Shenhe is still one of the better crowd support that we've got access to in the game. However, at the current point, we know that there are other competitions that she is onto, because while Escoffier is definitely there, and while even though Sitlali isn't a direct competition when it comes to cryo team, Sitlali is still technically going to be expected to be used on a Skirk team here and there, due to the fact of her being a cryo character first of all. Other than that, she does provide a shield, a bit of sub DPS damage, and the more important thing is the Cinder City set that does provide quite a lot of elemental damage bonus. So Shenhe is going to be in a bit of consideration, though her buff regarding cryo is still pretty good. However, if we're looking into a freeze team buff specifically, then Escoffier is definitely still going to be the better buffer when it comes to specific freeze team cryo buffing. But well, of course, if you do have both Escoffier and Shenhe, yes, technically those two characters can be on the same team as Skirk to provide quite a lot of damage buffing. So definitely pulling for Shenhe for your cryo team is still not going to be the bad choice. However, there are things that you can also consider is that there are going to be a bit of Shenhe investment required, because while I would say that Shenhe isn't technically complete at the C0 level, well, she does because you do have access to her whole kit at a C0 level. However, she is a character that would love to have constellation, and it does give her quite a ton of quality of life increase. For C1 specifically, actually give her another E skill, which does actually increase your overall team DPS by quite a bit, because now you're getting more quos in a single rotation. And not only that, it does quite significantly lower her energy regen level because you are technically getting 2 E skill, which means she's getting more particles regeneration. C2 is also pretty good because now her elemental burst has an 18-second uptime, whereas before it's a 12-second, which is actually not that long. And then other than that, your cryo characters get a 15% cryo crit damage increase, which is overall a really nice quality of life. And more than that, a C3 level does increase the E skill talent, which again, it is overall more cryo damage for your characters. So obviously getting to at the very least the C2 levels already is rather hard for most of us, so you guys can consider getting only to a C1 level if you are very invested into your Shenhe. But that's going to be a thing about Shenhe, right? Because she's a character that is expected to have more constellation for her to do very comfortably. Otherwise, you're just going to be on the fast land on C0 level Shenhe, then you will have to actually manage her rotation a lot. And then other than that, we have our lovely Emilie. It's been a while since she's been back. Emilie is a very interesting character that I do value quite a lot when it comes to more of a niche gameplay, because what Burning Team is still quite the underdog at the current point. Even though if you are using on the right team, for example, if you have a Kinich Emilie on a Burning Team, that team is absolutely gonna shred your enemy HP by an insane amount, because while Emilie, when she is used in the Burning Team, her sub DPS damage level is actually quite insane, and I've always valued very good sub DPS character to be on the account, as they do help you quite a lot of different things. Now obviously Emilie doesn't just only be on a Burning Team, as she can be in the other mixture of teams, for example like a Burn Melt or a Burn Vape kind of team, because as long as your enemies is in a burning reactions, Emilie's stack or Emilie kit is going to be fully utilized. And the main things about Emilie is that she only needs to have burning available so that she can have access to a lot of sub DPS power, and that's the only thing about Emilie most of the time. And obviously you don't really need to invest a lot into Emilie, as she does have quite a lot of free to play weapons option that you can use her. Obviously the 5-star option is still going to be the best overall for her, but if you're just looking for an overall character that can be used decently well in a burning reaction team, for example you're building your Kinich team, then it is okay just to have more or less a free to play Emilie, and she's still going to be doing you very well. But again, she's still very much a niche character that's more or less being used in a burning team most of the time, and character that utilizes the maximum potential of burning isn't being focused too much from the character casts that are being released at this current point, and it's pretty much only stuck most of the time toward either an on-field Emilie gameplay or a Kinich team if you are looking for a maximum potential, and the rest is just a mixture of other team comps that you would just like to have Emilie being used in. So that is definitely something for you guys to consider whenever you are looking into Emilie. So those guys are some of the more important things and discussions that I have to give on the characters that may be coming back in patch 5.7. Again, as I've mentioned, if the casts do change, I will make a bit of an updated video later on, which is where we move into the part where I'm just going to give my priority pooling regarding the character that may be coming back in patch 5.7. is that this is some of the few only times when I am going to be recommending a rerun character over a newly introduced character, and that's Mavuika. It's going to be on the top priority list if you guys are looking into getting very good good character on your account while being Primogems efficient, because as we've discussed, Mavuika is a very powerful DPS that is very free-to-play friendly. She is also on her rerun, which is why it is also quite an important thing for you guys to consider, because we don't know when Mavuika is probably going to be coming back. So if you're looking for a guaranteed very powerful DPS for you guys to easily build a team around, Mavuika is definitely going to be higher than Skirk. But while Skirk is also a very interesting option because it's a character that we've been waiting for a very long time. She's definitely going to be a very powerful character, but her team is expected for you guys to try and invest quite a lot, especially when Skirk is still pretty much dependent on SCOFVA. If you don't have SCOFVA, it is going to be quite a lot of DPS loss on Skirk's team. So if you do really love Skirk and she is her preferred choice, feel free to pull for her obviously, but overall if you do want to invest into the best of the best Skirk team, it is going to be a bit of an investment, because while as we can see, Shenhe is most likely going to be in the same patch as well, where while Shenhe would also love to be on a Skirk team. So if you're very invested into Skirk, then you are expecting to actually first of all pull for her signature, you may be considering her constellations, and you may be considering Shenhe within a single patch as well. And wow guys, I'm pretty sure that's just going to be on a dolphin level of an investment. And then lastly, it's going to be Emilie. It's pretty much going to be a preference character if you are trying to build around a burning team. So those I would say are going to be the priority list of mine at the current point. I hope that the video have been very helpful for you guys. If you have any questions guys, leave it down in the comment section and I or some other lovely Genshin player will get to you there. Again, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on my future Genshin videos. With that, I wish you a super day and I'll catch you on my next video.